Yo, it's the Reaction Bros. Live, you know what it is.
It's your boy Loopy.
It's your boy Senior.
It's your boy David.
And your boy Eric.
Yo, so guys, today we are going on with another video from the BTS. It's called The Most Beautiful Life Goes On. It's the story of the BTS 2023, guys.
Yes, sir.
So actually here we are going to document our reactions. It's a story concerning the BTS. So we're ready.
We expect to explore more.
Yeah, about the BTS. And I'm looking forward to see my man Kim Namjoon.
Sugar.
First things first,
Say-
a big announcement and a change to the channel. We are rebranding. The era of the Asian theory is over. We are pleased to announce the new channel name. Wait for it. Rice Squad. We believe this name more strongly represents our brand and who we are as a channel. For this video, we've partnered up with Vapor 95. Vapor 95 is an LA-based company that makes really cool aesthetic clothing and home goods about anime, vaporwave, and retro 80s and 90s art.
Vaporwave.
This beautiful cherry blossom shirt is actually from Vapor 95. Use the link in the description below to get 15% off. Get graphic tees, sweaters, hoodies, tapestries, merch, you name it. Just click the link below. Now, onto the video. Today, everyone knows the name of BTS. They've been invited onto late night talk shows, they've shattered records, they've sold out stadiums, they've made it onto the big screen. These days, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who didn't know who these guys were or haven't heard at least one of their songs. And if they don't, either they've been living under a rock or they're 100 years old. The success of the Bangtan Boys is worldwide, but it wasn't always like this. The very existence of BTS can be owed to its founding father, an innovator by the name of Hitman Bang. His idea to create a rap group was somewhat inspired by YG. In the late 90s, he experimented with this idea with different trainees, eventually choosing 7 members. And while 3 of them eventually left, the remaining 4, Teddy, Danny, Jinhwan, and Baekhyun, debuted in 1998 as One Time. Their first album, titled One Time for Your Mind, was one of the year's best-selling albums and won several awards, including the Global Disc and SBS Music Awards for Best New Artist and KMTV's Award for Best Hip Hop Artist. The group enjoyed moderate success and released 4 more albums before going on indefinite hiatus in 2006 due to the mandatory military service. The year was 2010, and the 5-year-old company Big Hit Entertainment had previously signed 2 artists, 88 and 2AM. They had their share of successes, but they were very traditional K-pop. Big Hit wanted a fresh new sound, and upon listening to One Time, CEO Hitman Bang Si-hyuk had decided that that was the sound that he had been looking for. And on top of that, the youth needed someone to relate to, but more importantly, to look up to. He decided that he would create a hip-hop group.
My man Kim Namjoon.
At 15 years old, Kim Namjoon auditioned for a certain Big Deal Records, which he completely botched, forgetting the lyrics to the song he was performing. Afterwards, fellow rapper Sleepy recommended that he try auditioning at another label, Big Hit, and even put in a good word for him to one of the producers there. At age 16, Namjoon auditioned in front of Bang Si-hyuk himself, and instantly impressed him. He was offered to deal with Big Hit on the spot, which Namjoon accepted and became a trainee, officially choosing a name for himself, Rap Monster, destined to become the leader of the newly created group. Now that a fearless leader was chosen, they needed more members. Min Young-gi was a 17-year-old living in Daegu, an avid basketball player and rapper.
Yeah, bro.
He had been interested in music, especially rap, from a very early age. And despite his parents' disapproval, started performing as a rapper while still in high school. He quickly gained attention as a rapper and producer in the underground hip-hop scene. One day he saw a flyer for a rap competition called Hit It and decided to participate. And although he only placed second, the company hosting the competition, you guessed it, Big Hit, decided to sign him on as a producer. Hitman Bang spoke with him afterwards, convincing him to join a newly created hip-hop group. He told him to just focus on rapping and assured him that he wouldn't need to dance. He was lying. And just like that, the new group had a second member, known as Suga, a combination of the first two syllables of shooting guard, his favorite position in basketball. But they wouldn't stop there. Rappers were nice, but Big Hit actually needed a dancer. Jung Ho-suk always loved dancing. He was in the starting lineup of the dance crew Neuron in his hometown, Gwangju. He was good at it too, winning several local championships and even winning a championship at the national level in 2008. While he did perform at several competitions hosted by JYP and even won some of them, he ultimately went on to audition for a smaller, lesser-known company, Big Hit Entertainment. His dance skills and strong understanding of rhythm made him an instant favorite, and he was signed on as J-Hope. Not only that, but they saw potential in him to become a rapper, which at this point he had little experience with. However, J-Hope made the decision to leave Big Hit until RM convinced both J-Hope and Big Hit that the group wouldn't be complete without him. He was right.
아니 근데 이거 항상 중간에 좋아서 와야 된다고 좋아서 안 하면 시시가 안 된다. 멤버보다 멤버 온 거야. 올해 멤버 모았어 진짜. 근데 나는 진짜 네가 안 돼요.
With the addition of J-Hope, the rap line was complete. Now they needed some singers. Now, just like how RM, an amazing rapper with a ton of experience, was chosen as the first official member of the rap line, it would only make sense that a legendary singer and dancer would be the perfect first member of the vocal group. Right? But Kim Sok-jin didn't have any sort of experience like that. Believe it or not, one day when he was walking on the streets of his hometown, Anyang, he was approached by a representative of SM Entertainment with an offer to work for the company. In typical Jin fashion, he never followed up with it because he believed it to be a scam. Apparently, Jin was a very good-looking guy because years later, this time as a college student in Seoul, he was once again approached on the street, this time by an executive at Big Hit Entertainment.
So this was the one who was being told, yeah, you went some issue general.
He didn't sing, he didn't dance. He was supposed to become an actor, and he decided to audition to become an actor. Big Hit, however, had different plans for him. He convinced him to become a vocalist for their new group. To do so, he literally learned to dance and sing starting from zero, but thankfully, not without help from other vocalists.
So, wow.
Jung Jung-kook initially had dreams of becoming a band player when he was young, but after seeing G-Dragon perform Heartbreaker on television, it influenced him to want to become a singer instead. Because of this, at only age 14, he decided to audition for the South Korean talent show, Superstar K. He didn't pass auditions, but this was just enough to catch the eye of not one company, not two companies, but 7 different companies. This included JYP, FNC, Woollim, Starship Entertainment, TS, Cube, and of course, Big Hit Entertainment. So why did Jungkook, given the choice of all these big companies, decide to go with the relatively smaller company, Big Hit? The answer was simple. Because he thought, and I quote, RM was cool, so I wanted to sign him. That brings the number of members to 5. The next member of BTS was just as surprised to find Big Hit as Big Hit was to find him, and it almost didn't happen.
So he was attracted by that guy.
Kim Tae-young was always passionate about music, and it was always his dream to pursue it as a career. However, it was hard, as his family was poor, his parents being humble farmers. His father told him that if he was passionate about music, he should learn an instrument, and he did, spending 3 years practicing with the saxophone. One day, one of his friends decided to audition for Big Hit Entertainment when they were holding auditions in his hometown of Daegu. Taeyoung, being a good friend, came with him to keep him company. But when one of the team members in charge of the audition saw Taeyoung, he encouraged him to audition as well. With nothing to lose, He did. That day, he was the only one in Daegu to move on to the next round of auditions, and eventually became a trainee for Big Hit Entertainment. They decided to keep him as a surprise member and didn't want to reveal him as one of the members until his debut. In the same vein, Big Hit had him choose something mysterious for his stage name. He decided to go with V for victory. Here seems like a nice round number to stop, right? 6 members for a new hip-hop group, 3 rappers and 3 vocalists. It seems like a complete group, but still there was something missing. Someone was missing. Someone that could take this already great group of artists and push it even further to achieve perfection. A powerhouse. Someone so naturally talented that they could stand out in a room full of already talented artists. This project that Big Hit had embarked upon needed a capstone. Park Jimin was a naturally talented dancer. When he was in middle school, he attended a dance academy and continued to pursue dance at Busan High School of Arts, where he studied contemporary dance and was the top student in the whole modern dance department. Impressed by his raw talent, a teacher encouraged him to audition for Big Hit Entertainment, who were holding auditions in Busan. He was only 16 when he passed the audition and moved to Seoul to become a trainee. He was the final member of the group, and he also had the shortest training period. Interesting to note is that the group feels very much ragtag because, in a sense, with the exception of Jimin and J-Hope, it was. RM auditioned for Big Hit because he didn't pass his auditions with the first company he chose. And despite their amazing talent, Suga and Jungkook didn't win the competitions they were in, but they signed on with Big Hit after the fact because of their high-quality performances. V never even planned on auditioning, but just decided to do it on a whim, and Jin, they literally just found Jin on the streets. But perhaps it was fate. This was the group of the show, and just like that, in 2012, the newly created Bangtan Sonyeonda, Bulletproof Boy Scouts, or simply BTS, was set.
저도 아침에 일어날 때 이거 보고 많이 들었어요.
They had the group. Suga and Jungkook didn't win the competitions they were in, but they signed on
they're talking
after
about
the
the long
fact
form of
because of their
BTS,
high-quality
like
performances.
the long
V
form of
never
BTS.
even planned on auditioning, but just decided to do it on a whim, and Jin, they literally just found Jin on the streets. But perhaps it was fate. This was the group that they chose, and just like that, in 2012, the newly created Bangtan Sonyeonda, BTS, was set.
저도 아침에 일어날 때 이거 보고 많이 들었어요.
2012, the newly created Bangtan Sonyeonda, Bulletproof Boy Scouts, or simply BTS, was set. They had the group, but they still needed the music. In early 2013, they set out to create some social media presence for themselves before officially debuting, posting song covers on both SoundCloud and YouTube, which you can still go watch today. In May, Big Hit launched a countdown clock on their website in preparation for BTS's debut album, complete with a trailer and a ton of promotional material, including photos for the first time of all the members in the official lineup. Finally, the big day came. June 12, 2013, BTS held a press conference and a debut showcase where they performed their 2 singles, No More Dream and We Are Bulletproof Part 2. The same day, the 2 Cool for School album, as well as the music video for No More Dream, were released.
It was their first live performance.
The very next day, BTS performed the song again on their official debut stage on Mnet's M Countdown.
And they nailed it.
This was the world's first taste of BTS. Commercially, the album didn't do extraordinarily well. The lead single, No More Dream, peaked at 124 in Korea, and the album sold only 24,000 copies during its first year. Bulletproof Part 2 didn't even chart. The first year wasn't all that great for BTS, but despite everything, people saw them. People saw the sparkle in their eyes and their limitless potential. And they were hot, of course. On July 9th, ARMY was established as BTS's official fandom. They made their comeback only 2 months later in September when they released their single, No, along with their EP, part 2 of what would be their school trilogy, Oh, Are You Late Too? In the music video for the single, they made a commentary on the harsh Korean education system, along with their previous themes of hopes and dreams. No peaked at 92 in Korea, but also quickly fell off the charts. The album debuted at number 4 on the Gaon Weekly chart, and it was the 55th best-selling album in South Korea that year. This was enough to secure them the coveted New Artist of the Year award at the Melon Music Awards, the Golden Disc Awards, and the Seoul Music Awards. Part 3 of the School trilogy was released in February of 2014, the EP School Love Affair. This time, the lead single was Boy in Love. And the other single being Just One Day. The album, as well as both singles, enjoyed moderate success, with the album topping the Gaon album chart, as well as making its first international appearance at number 3 on the Billboard World Albums chart. The album also marked their first distinctive change in theme, focusing more on school life and young love, as evidenced by their Boy in Love music video. They also held their first fan meetings with a crowd of 3,000 in Seoul. BTS was doing well. That is, until July. This is, unfortunately, a dark chapter in the lives of BTS and ARMY. That's right, American Hustle Life. I'm joking, of course, but American Hustle Life was a reality show put together by Mnet that brought BTS to Los Angeles, where they had the unique opportunity to learn the true ways of hip-hop from the masters. And it was a pretty darn cringy opportunity, but an opportunity nonetheless. Whatever you just don't watch the Warren G version of Boy in Love, you've been warned.
You know,
however, cringe and all, the trip proved fruitful for BTS, making connections, performing their first US concert for free in front of 200 fans, as well as their first appearance at KCON. The next month, in August, BTS released their first full-length studio album, Dark and Wired. The album featured 2 singles, Danger and War Hormone. The album featured a marked shift in sound with a touch of R&B and electronica. It was met with moderate success. It peaked at number 2 in Korea, selling over 200,000 albums. In October, and again in May of the following year, BTS went on their first and second concert tours, known as the Red Bullet Tour, where they visited 13 different countries, including Japan, the Philippines, Australia, the US, Mexico, and many others. They also came out with their first Japanese album in December, Wake Up, featuring many Japanese versions of their songs, as well as original tracks Wake Up and The Stars, followed by a Japan tour and a solo concert in Korea. Although Dark and Wild got decent attention, they needed something different. They needed something that would shake things up. They got to work. April 29, 2015 was their comeback. When this album was produced, each member had a hand in writing songs for the album. They again changed their sound, from aggressive hip-hop to youthful, colorful styles. And not only their sound, but their image as well. This can be evidenced by their newest EP, Most Beautiful Moment in Life. And just by looking at the album cover, they ditched the dark colors and the bulletproof vest symbol that had become so synonymous with BTS, and replaced it with a simple white and pink background overlaid with the title.
so
and then they dropped the single that would change everything. I Need You. It was sentimental, it was hopeful, it was new. Just by looking at the music video, we can see that BTS has also ditched their punk bad boy image and replaced it with a more real, vulnerable, down-to-earth, and youthful
Bad boy
This
image
proved to be
is
the
dead.
change that BTS needed for mainstream success. Billboard called it one of the greatest K-pop songs of the
Billboard.
decade, and charted at number 5 in
Billboard
Korea,
has
and
said
even
it
led them
most-
to their first
most
music show
extremely
on SBS and TV's The Show. And that wasn't all, they released their second single, Dope, on June 24th, which started off with a poignant line from RM.
어서 와. 방탄은 처음이지?
Welcome. Is this your first time with BTS? And you know what? For a lot of people, it was. In a way, their first studio album and tour can be seen as their stepping stone between old school BTS and new school. In November, they came back with their follow-up EP, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Part 2, the second EP in what would be dubbed the Youth Trilogy, which featured the single Run. The album focused even more on the frivolity, friendship, and carefree attitude that comes with enjoying one's youth. But just like in I Need You, contrasted that with suffering, depression, loneliness, society, and the stark and sometimes dark reality of life. Compare this with the far cry of the No More Dreams music video. It felt real. It was darker, grittier, more humble, more meaningful, and most importantly, RM lost his mohawk. Run also connected narratively with their previous single, I Need You, and another video released in September titled On Stage Prologue established what would come to be known as the BTS universe, or the BU, which would eventually combine music videos, short films, books, short stories, webtoons, and even a mobile game to create a cohesive story. And I won't go down this rabbit hole because there is a lot to digest, but it's definitely something to look into if you're a hardcore ARMY. The same month, they kicked off their third tour, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life on-stage tour, where they performed songs from their two recent EPs, Part 1 and Part 2. And Part 2 was a hit, their biggest so far. It topped the Weekly Gaon album and Billboard World Albums charts. And on Billboard, it stayed there for multiple weeks, the first K-pop act to do so. It also appeared on the Billboard 200 albums chart. Not world albums, which is reserved for foreign non-English songs, but simply the top 200 albums, peaking at 171. Which is kind of amazing considering that this was back in 2015. They also received Best World Performer at the 17th Mnet Asian Music Awards. This brings us to Part 3 of the Youth Trilogy, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Young Forever, released on May 2nd, 2016, which featured probably my favorite BTS album cover. Young Forever was actually a compilation album of parts 1 and 2, so it was mostly the same songs, but it was notable that it had some new singles, Epilogue, Young Forever, Fire, and Save Me. The latter two performed exceptionally well, with both songs topping the Billboard World Digital Songs chart. This was also the second BTS album to chart on the Billboard 200 at 107, and it topped both the Gaon weekly and monthly chart, which earned BTS their first Daesan. Album of the Year at the 8th Melon Music Awards. They went on to do the second half of their tour, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life on stage, Epilogue, selling out many of their concerts and even selling out KCON in the US where they headlined the event. In September, they dropped their second Japanese album, Youth, featuring Japanese versions of tracks from the previous Korean EPs, which went gold and peaked at #1 on Japanese charts. And only a month later, in October of 2016, it happened. BTS dropped their second studio album, Wings. It sold over 500,000 copies in its first week. In comparison, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Part 1, released just the previous year, which topped the Gaon chart, sold about 500,000 in its entire lifetime. Wings was big, but the true showstopper was its lead single, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, which got them their first all-kill, topping 8 music charts in South Korea. Its music video gained 6 million views in the first 24 hours, which broke the YouTube record for the highest views of a K-pop music video within 24 hours. The album hit number 26 on the Billboard 200, the highest ever charting K-pop album on Billboard. They ended up selling 1.5 million copies in South Korea in 2016 alone, and it netted them the Artist of the Year award at the Mnet Asian Music Awards that same year, the first non-Big 3 artist ever to receive that award.
수상자는
After Blood, Sweat, and Tears, they were on a roll. BTS was unstoppable. In February 2017, they released the instant hit Spring Day, which, quoting a Korean reviewer, embodied nostalgia and sorrow and opened a new chapter in BTS's aesthetics and lyricism and attracted fans across generational boundaries. Which, by the way, is still on Korean charts after nearly 4 years. And the same day I'm writing this, it ranked number 53 on Melon. It won Song of the Year at the 9th Melon Music Awards. After the release of Spring Day, they went on yet another tour, the 2017 BTS Live Trilogy, Episode 3, The Wings Tour. The tickets sold out within minutes, including in the United States, the first K-pop artist to do so, and went on to win Best Social Artist at the Billboard Music Awards, the first for a Korean artist, but they would go on to win this award 4 years in a row. The next year was a period of massive growth for both the group's popularity as well as their style. They released the Love Yourself song, starting with Love Yourself Her in September 2017, Love Yourself Tear in 2018, and Love Yourself Answer in August 2022. 3 albums gave us some of the most classic BTS songs that we know and love today, such as Mic Drop, Fake Love, Euphoria, Idol, and of course, all 3 albums were commercial successes, Her being their first album to top 2 million album sales, but Tear and Answer also did equally well. These 3 albums, as well as their Japanese album, Face Yourself, proved that they weren't done yet, not even close. During this time, they shattered countless records. Their singles went platinum, they topped charts, they won awards. And not only did they break YouTube records, but they broke records that they themselves set again and again and again. This is the period where BTS really started enjoying global recognition, working with huge Western artists such as Nicki Minaj, Designer, and Steve Aoki. It wasn't their first time having international features on their songs, but it was definitely the biggest. And even though they were already, without a doubt, the biggest act to ever come out of South Korea, they had their eyes set even higher. They went on tour once again for the Love Yourself World Tour. During this tour, they collaborated with Steve Aoki to make the song Wasted on You. Notable for being their first all-English feature, and it also served as a jumping-off point for BTS to gain a following of English speakers. Not that they really needed the help, as they sold out concerts even in the US leg of the tour, including at Citi Field in Queens, New York, where tickets sold out in 20 minutes. And as if that wasn't enough, they dropped the movie in November, Burn the Stage, which in the US alone grossed $3.54 million in the first weekend, breaking the record set by One Direction's movie, This Is Us. In September, RM had the unique opportunity to speak at the United Nations, where he spoke of anti-violence and self-love. 2 years later, he would be offered to speak on a second occasion about persistence and hope in the face of challenges. And to top it all off, in October, the president of South Korea awarded every member of BTS the 5th class Hwangwon Order of Cultural Merit for outstanding meritorious services in the field of culture and art, which is one of the highest South Korean orders of merit one can receive, and that's no exaggeration. 2019 estimates put BTS's contribution to the South Korean economy to the tune of $4.65 billion each year, an equivalent to 0.3% of the country's GDP. They were the youngest to ever receive the honor. 2019, BTS Grammys, Time Magazine, Billboard, BTS entered a new era. Not an era of simply global recognition, but global dominance. April 12, 2019, enter Map of the Soul Persona. First things first, you can't mention Map of the Soul Persona without mentioning Boy With Love. It was simple math. What do you get when you cross the singer of one of the best charting songs of all time that went platinum 59 times in 13 different countries with, without a question, the most globally dominant pop group of all time? Well, you get this. Nothing less than an instant hit. Number 8 on Billboard Hot 100, platinum in the US, 21 music show wins, number 1 on iTunes in 67 different countries. The most liked and the most viewed YouTube video in the first 24 hours. The fastest video to reach 100 million views. A current view count of over 1 billion views. 7 boys, 1 girl, and 7 different tour hosts. They were the talk of the town, invited to talk show after talk show after talk show. The second single on the album was Make It Right. Written by Ed Sheeran himself, including a version featuring Cloud. The album debuted at number 1 on Gallup and sold 3.2 million copies its first month, and that's only in Korea. It became the best-selling album in South Korea ever. It swept every major Korean music show, winning Album of the Year in each one of them. They followed up this legendary EP with the Love Yourself, Speak Yourself World Tour, where they sold out both the Rose Bowl and the Wembley Stadium in only an hour, the only non-English speaking act to do so. They even performed as a solo act in Saudi Arabia, the first foreign act to do that. The last stop of their tour was at South Korea's largest venue, the Seoul Olympic Stadium. They ended up grossing $200 million. During this time, they also created a visual novel-style game for mobile devices called BTS World, where the player can interact with the members. This also came with an original soundtrack with tracks unique to the game featuring Western artists. Zara Larsson, Charlie XCX, and Juice WRLD for the tracks A Brand New Day, Green Glow, and All Night respectively. In December of 2019, the group swept the grand prizes for both the Melon and Mnet Music Awards shows, the first artist to do that. Map of the Soul Persona was legendary, truly a marvel in modern music. So how can BTS follow up the best-selling album in South Korean history, you might ask? Easy. Make an even better-selling album. And that's what they did with Map of the Soul 7. The album was released on February 21st of 2020, featuring the singles Black Swan and On. And sold over 4.1 million albums in just the first week, and the first Korean album to be certified as quadruple million on the Gaon Music Chart. It debuted at number 1 on music charts all over the world, including the US, Korea, UK, Japan, and much of Europe. It's not an exaggeration to say that this album left a permanent mark on the world, launching BTS into legendary status and becoming the best-selling artist in South Korean history. BTS had scheduled a Map of the Soul tour for April of that year, which would have undoubtedly outsold their record-breaking tour only a year prior. But unfortunately, the COVID pandemic caused the entire tour to be postponed, including the show at the Rose Bowl, which I was supposed to attend. But that didn't stop BTS, who performed virtual concerts, spoke at the Dear Class of 2020 graduation event, and released the Japanese version of their recent album with an original Japanese single, Stay Gold. To top it all off, this was only June. At this point, it was clear that BTS had already dominated their home turf, and they had topped the music charts all over the world. This time, their sight was set for the very top. Remember that scene in The Social Network where Mark and Sean talk about how they don't want $1 million, they want $1 billion. How they're not interested in catching 14 trout, but they'd rather catch an 800-pound marlin? Well, that's what they set their sights on. The marlin, the biggest music industry in the world, the United States. And at the top of that music industry, #1 on Billboard Hot 100. This small group from a company that virtually no one had heard about 8 years ago planned to take on Goliath himself and dominate the American industry on their home turf. And all they had to do was speak English. August 21st,
okay.
enter Dynamite. Their first English single simultaneously performed better than anyone had expected, but at the same time is exactly what we as an audience had come to expect from the legendary boy band themselves. And they did it. They reached #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100, the Global 200, and the Global Exclusive US chart. And they made sure that if you hadn't heard them before, you definitely have now.
Revolutionizing
wasn't already the biggest
music
flex.
market.
On October 2nd, they came out with Savage Love BTS remix with Jason Derulo. Getting #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 again, less than 2 months after already getting #1 with Dynamite, and on the Global 200, where they actually replaced themselves at #1, the first artist to do so ever. And this is where we stopped in the original video, October of 2020. So, what's happened since then? Well,
Breaking
not
their own
much.
record.
Yeah, that's what
On November 20th, their 5th studio album, B, was released, featuring the hit single Life Goes On.
the pandemic.
B was met with critical acclaim and hit #1 on Billboard 200 and the World Albums Chart, the 5th BTS album to do so, along with topping worldwide charts in countries like Belgium, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Portugal, and of course, their hometown, South Korea. And in spite of all these accolades, perhaps the biggest winner was Life Goes On. A synth-pop showstopper encouraging its audience to continue living life even in the midst of a global pandemic. The message was clear: don't give up, life goes on. It hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the 3rd BTS song to do so. BTS gave the fans what they wanted with Life Goes On. Life Goes On joined the exclusive club of only 8 songs to ever top the Billboard Hot 100 that were not in English, a title most recently held by Despacito. But it was the first to do it in BTS's native tongue, Korean.
For Bad Bunny and Tiny, Intentions by Justin Bieber and Quavo, Dynamite by BTS.
The same month, the Academy announced that BTS's Dynamite would be nominated for the Best Pop Duo Group Performance, along with songs by J Balvin, Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, and Taylor Swift. This marked the first time a Korean pop artist was nominated for a Grammy. In December, BTS was invited to sing for Disney's holiday sing-along. And on New Year's Eve, Big Hit put on a New Year's concert where they performed again. Things looked really good for BTS and their Grammy nomination, especially since on March 4th, 2021, the official news came. The International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, or IFPI, announced BTS as the Global Recording Artist of the Year, an award given to the best-selling artist of 2020, period, beating out 9 other prominent Western artists, making them the first artist from Korea, but perhaps more importantly, the first non-English artist to do so. Later that month, the Grammys, the main event that everyone was waiting for, finally arrived. With bated breath, BTS and the world watched. And, well,
And the Grammy goes to Rain on Me, Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande.
They didn't. However, they made history
But
for being the first South
they
Korean
made-
artist to perform at the
they-
Grammys.
they-
After presenting at the Grammys the year prior,
Just show that
March
little
31st,
bit.
2021,
Right
Big Hit
there.
Entertainment officially rebrands as HYBE and completely revamps their organization. BTS now falls under Big Hit Music, which is now a subsidiary of HYBE Labels, a division of the HYBE Corporation. 2 days later, HYBE acquires Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings. Scooter Braun Projects is a subsidiary of Ithaca Holdings that manages several artists, including Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, J Balvin, Carly Rae Jepsen, Black Eyed Peas, Demi Lovato, and others, which means that those artists are now part of the same family as BTS. Then, at long last, BTS announced their highly anticipated follow-up single to their smash English hit, Dynamite. And that single was Butter. May 21st, 2021.
Smooth like butter, like criminal undercover.
It didn't disappoint. The retro summer pop hit met immediate success and universal praise. Butter was yet another #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and once again topped the charts around the world. Not only that, but it had 3.9 million viewers at its premiere, which broke the previous record held by Dynamite. It also broke the record for fastest YouTube video to reach 10 million views and 100 million views. And also, it was the most viewed music video on YouTube in the first 24 hours, with 108.2 million views, once again surpassing 101.1 million views set by Dynamite. And finally, at 11 million streams on its first day on Spotify, it once again set a new world record. And as an amazing gesture, RM makes a shout out to BTS's fans, ARMY, who helped them get to where they are today.
Army, oh, shout
All of this is to say,
Shout
it
out
was
Army,
really
bro.
big.
Their new single broke streaming records on Spotify and YouTube.
Obsessed with this song. Is really, really amazing.
I mean, what is the inspiration behind the new song?
Butter. Butter?
Butter.
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 Better.
Butter
Better.
eventually
Better.
became the longest running #1 song of 2021, spending 10 weeks atop the chart, beating out
I
Olivia
think we should
Rodrigo's
react on
Driving
this song.
License.
Butter.
Yeah, we should react on this one.
BTS.
Number 30.
The comment,
One more thing. Two more things.
And Cage. On May 26th, the BTS
Were there in some commercials?
Yeah, that happened.
Better.
June 16th, BTS releases their third Japanese compilation album, known as BTS The Best. It instantly hit #1 on Japan's Oricon chart and sold over 1 million albums, the first and only Korean boy group so far to accomplish this feat. The new Japanese single, Film Out, was released 2 months earlier and debuted at #1 on the Oricon chart. And as an interesting fact, charted at 185 on the Billboard 200 excluding US chart, joining Dynamite and Life Goes On, making BTS the only artist to ever have 3 songs in 3 different languages on the Billboard 200. On July 1st, following an organizational restructuring, the HYBE Corporation announced that Hitman Bang, our same Hitman Bang who got the boys together, resigned as CEO of the company in order to focus on his passion for music production. And while he is still the chairman of the board of directors, he was replaced as CEO by Park Ji-won. On July 7th, BTS became official models for Louis Vuitton as they walked the runway for part of their men's fall-winter 2021 collection. They were named as ambassadors only 2 months prior. And then, for their teaser trailer, they forgot to put a B in the video.
Talk about Louis V.
And finally, that brings us to July 9th, Permission to Dance. The hit song, which was written by Ed Sheeran, spreads positive vibes as the world starts to recover from the pandemic. Its YouTube debut saw 72.4 million views in the first 24 hours, placing itself at #6 of the top 10 most viewed music videos in the first 24 hours. Out of BTS's past 5 singles, 3 of them have been fully in English. And while this trend has been concerning for some fans who have been wanting more traditional Korean pop songs, there's no denying that BTS has enjoyed global recognition like no other international and particularly non-English group before them. And that itself is a sign of success that can't be ignored. And as a fun fact, there's a line in the song referencing legendary singer-songwriter Elton John.
Oh, they're referring to Elton.
He gave the song his personal approval.
When it all seems like it's right.
That same month, BTS once again tops the Billboard Hot 100 with Permission to Dance, marking #5 of BTS singles that have topped the Billboard Hot 100. In August, Big Hit officially cancels the Map of the Soul tour due to the pandemic. But to everyone's surprise, only a month later they announced the Permission to Dance on Stage tour, being their first live concert since 2019. The tour kicked off with a concert in Seoul in October, but later announced dates for Los Angeles in November and December. Barely 2 months after their previous #1 hit, BTS collaborates with the legendary British rock band Coldplay to drop yet another #1 hit on Billboard's Hot 100 with My Universe. In November, BTS wins Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards.
The American Music Award goes to BTS!
I like the vibe.
Not only were they the first K-pop group to ever win the award, but they were the first Asian act ever to win that award.
Next, we have Best Pop Duo or Group Performances. The nominees are Butter by BTS.
The same week, they were nominated for a Grammy for Best Pop Group Performance. From November 27th to December 2nd, BTS held its first international concert since 2019 in Los Angeles, California. The Permission to Dance on Stage tour. And, well, it was insane. They were to perform at the SoFi Stadium, one of the largest stadiums in the United States, and coincidentally, it would be the same stadium that held the Super Bowl. Pre-sales started October 5th for those who bought VIP soundcheck tickets. And though ticket sales for the general public were supposed to start on October 9th, they ended up selling out before it even started. Demand for the tickets were so high that scalpers were reselling tickets for up to $40,000. Thankfully, we were one of the lucky ones, and we were able to snag a few tickets and finally see them in person.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him.
It felt like a farewell concert, and it really was supposed to be, with the uncertainty about the future of the world, as well as Jin's enlistment looming over the group's head. But thanks to recently passed South Korean legislation known colloquially as the BTS law, the group had been threatening to postpone their mandatory military service until further notice. And just to show that they weren't done yet, only 2 months later, tour dates were added for April 8th, 9th, 15th, and 16th in Las Vegas, Nevada. On December 6, 2021, BTS surprised their fans as they launched individual Instagram accounts for the first time ever. In doing so, V broke the record for the fastest time to reach 1 million followers on Instagram in just 43 minutes. And then he also achieved the fastest time to reach 10 million followers after only 4 hours, 52 minutes. The same day, the group announced that they were suspending activities in order to take an extended period of rest so that they could spend more time with their family. And this is crazy. This is only their second break that they've ever taken since their debut in 2013, which is just such a testament of how hard they actually work. The break was definitely well-deserved.
우리의 멋진 방탄소년단.
축하합니다. 방탄소년단 버터.
방탄소년단.
방탄소년단.
On December 11th, BTS swept the Mnet Asian Music Awards, winning all 4 Daesangs. This marks the 3rd consecutive year that BTS has swept the awards, showing no signs of slowing down in their home country. In February, BTS won IFPI's Best-Selling Artist of the Year award for the 2nd time in a row, the only artist ever to do so, and only the 3rd artist to win more than once, along with Taylor Swift and Drake. Impressive, considering how new BTS is on the international stage compared to the others. On March 25th, Snoop Dogg officially confirms an upcoming collaboration with BTS that he had been hinting at since January of the same year. Funny enough, he admits that he didn't know at the time exactly how big they were.
We get calls from the biggest artists in the world. I got a group named BTS that's waiting for me to do a song with them right now. I'm trying to figure out if I got time to do this.
Regardless, it's nice to see BTS revisit their hip-hop roots every now and then. And that brings us to today, Sunday, April 3rd, 2022. BTS had been previously nominated for the Grammys once before, and even then, they were by far the most accomplished and critically acclaimed artists in their category, and they didn't win. Unfortunately, history repeated itself. They once again were snubbed of the trophy. Some might regard this as a huge loss, a huge blow to BTS and their fans. Sure, some might say that they missed out on the most prestigious music award the world can give, right?
Yeah,
I'd
they
argue,
should win.
no, not really. I'm sure if they had won, ARMY around the world would celebrate as BTS wins against all odds in a rigged award show skewed towards American English-speaking songs. But the truth is, They never needed to win an award to garner any sort of praise. They don't need a trophy to be validated. They were able to do that all on their own. Boy bands come and go, but BTS continues to prove themselves by pushing the envelope, pushing themselves to the limit. BTS sets new records, they smash decade-long records, and then they replace themselves by breaking their own records by the very next thing they do. That's just what BTS does. From humble beginnings in their old studio dance practice room to selling out the world's largest stadiums, these 7 boys have crawled their way up to the top thanks to their own blood, sweat, and tears. They dominate a world that 10 years ago would have been unthinkable for any Asian group. Even 5 years ago, the majority of people who knew wouldn't have listened to K-pop or even heard of K-pop. In the past year, their popularity has grown so much that we often forget how groundbreaking they are as a group and how much progress they've made in such little time on the world stage, not only for themselves, but for Korean and Asian representation for a whole. From the early days of their first fan meetings to today, a staggering 41 million members of ARMY have been with them, some since the beginning, but others joining along the way. Each one of us started following them because of one of their songs that spoke to us, or maybe it was something that they said, or their amazing talents that spoke for themselves, or maybe it's something they stood for, or maybe you just think they're hot. And that's fine too. Regardless of the reason you initially started following them, the important thing is that you're here for it, and that you're along for the ride, and that you continue to find beauty in the things that they do, because according to the group themselves, they chose the theme for their album, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, because in life, beauty coexists with uncertainty. And even in uncertain times like ours, we can find that beauty. And with all their talent, the members of BTS really could have chosen to do so many other things, but they chose to share some of that beauty with us. And I'm grateful for that. And I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me too.
And that's our April 2022 update. There's been lots of crazy things happening recently, and I'm excited to see what the rest of 2022 has in store for the group and for all of us. Thank you to everyone who's been watching our videos. We're always looking to improve our videos, so if you find something that needs improving, leave a comment below. And remember, this video was made possible by Paper95. Use our link in the description to get 15% off your order. And a big shout out for our over 180,000 subscribers. That's insane. You guys are the best. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone.
Nice, man. That was awesome. That was good. I think we are getting to know the BTS better. They are record breaking about billboards, about conquering the music market in USA, man.
I just love it. I just love it because their hard work is being appreciated. Like when they talk about, let's say it's a show, it's a music show, the tickets are sold out in minutes, in seconds. If it's a video in YouTube, it's just viewers blow off in 10 minutes.
It's crazy.
I also like the theme of the song Spear. Like they talk about life goes on and that new album after the pandemic.
Okay,
showing
life
that
goes on, yeah.
it just
Also,
keeps
guys, time.